Alright folks, welcome to another beer review, and today we're going over to the wonderful Track out of Manchester, and we're having a look at Full Dome, which is a double IPA, clocking in at 8.3%, brewed with Citra, Galaxy and Simcoe. Of course, Full Dome. I was going to call it Double Dome then. Full Dome is the bigger brother, sister. I don't know if we can refer to higher ABV beers of pre-existing beers as the big brother to them, because is that problematic nowadays? I don't know. I'm out of touch. I'm in my early to mid 30s and I'm a man, so it doesn't really matter what my opinion is on things. But anyway, so yeah, this is a double IPA version of Half Dome, which is an absolutely terrific pale ale. Almost as good as Sonoma, but it's not. And Track are synonymous to brewing really good beers, and it's been a while since I've had a Track beer, in all honesty. But yeah, double IPA, 8.3% ABV, already established that. Lovely artwork. Probably should have picked up a can of Half Dome, just to do a bit of a side-by-side, but I never think of those sorts of things. Picked this up from Northern Beer Temple in Wigan, and we're using the Track and Craft Beer Diaries collaboration glass, or the Craft Diaries. I'm getting loads of information wrong today. And yeah, I really like the artwork on this, although I think as a teku, that would have been a little bit nicer. Anyway, I'm not going to bitch and moan about glass. It's really well designed, and yeah. Let's just pour the beer, shall we? And see what we get. So I know this has been out for a little while, and it's probably been rebrewed since its original brew, but as a fan of Track and also Half Dome, I thought it was about time that I picked up a can of this. And I can smell it from here already, and it smells absolutely wonderful, as you would expect. And you can actually see the artwork a little bit better there. How lovely is that? And that would make an absolutely fantastic tattoo. I am thinking of actually starting a, oh, there's a bruise there, of like starting a bit of a sleeve, but like with just little random, like small tattoos. So stuff like that is perfect. I'm like thinking of getting the LCD sound system, a disco ball from the first album, maybe the DFA Records logo, some Keith Haring artwork, just a little bit of a scrapbook of some of my favourite little designs. But you know, I always feel uncomfortable just wearing a t-shirt anyway, so showing off my arms, and as a socially anxious person anyway, having people come over to me and talking about my tattoos kind of puts me off. Plus it's the whole idea of being tattooed, and if you've ever had the misfortune of meeting me, you will know that my feeble attempts at small talk are a lot to be desired. But anyway, personal flaws aside, I think that would be really quite cool, just to have bits and bats. And God, how big does my hand look? 3D. Anyway, I digress. Look how chunky that looks. I don't mean chunky as in like particulates in the bottom of the glass. I just mean it's one of those IPAs that you feel like you could leave, you like put your finger in it and it'd leave like a depression in there. I was going to say leave an impression, but I never leave a good impression with people. Anyway, but yeah, just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Opaque as you like. It's got that sort of like peachy sort of colour. I don't know how you'd really properly describe that colour. And just shy of 1 finger's worth of a nice white head. Let's see what we get on the nose. Oh man. Oh, that smells so good. Oh yeah. Do you know what it like instantly reminds me of? If you open up like a bag of Mawam, you know, you get the little Mawam bars and you can smell it. It's got a really nice, almost confectionery-like sweetness to it. Mate, do you know what? Now I've said that, Haribo Super Mix, which is infinitely better than Star Mix. Not that Star Mix is a bad one, because you can't go wrong with the hearts and the fried eggs, but is it Super Mix, the one in the red bag? There's just something really satisfying about that. Although the best Haribo, and I've yet to see this version in the UK, but in Germany, I mean, obviously in the UK you can get the Smurf Haribo, but they're just like jelly sweets. Whereas ones in Germany, you can get a version where you can actually like bite through them. There's like a bit of firmness to it. Mate, fantastic. Don't know why I keep referring to someone as mate. I always sound awkward as fuck calling someone mate. That's why I just like say, oh, cheers, bud. Thank you, buddy. It's a bit more charming. Plus, you know, I mean, I sound like what's his face off Peep Show anyway. I've got the double chin. What's he called? I can't remember what the actor's called. The one who's married to the clever woman. David Mitchell. I sound like David Mitchell anyway, so me trying to call someone mate just reinforces that awkwardness that David Mitchell is well known for, especially his character in Peep Show. I need to revisit Peep Show. I always remember that one specific part of that episode. I can't remember what episode it is, but where he's walking through the subway, and he basically just gets the piss ripped out of him by a group of kids. I think, doesn't he get mugged or something like that? But yeah, anyway. Should we just carry on? Simcoes. There's definitely that dank edge coming from the Simcoe. Citra and Galaxy as well, isn't it? Citra, of course. But yeah, that smells so good. And then you get those sort of like soft, berry-like fruity tones that you do tend to get from Galaxy. Oh, man, that just smells good. You could just smell that. Like, I'm still waiting for a brewery to do a collaboration with a candle maker. Could you imagine like a really obscenely hoppy IPA candle? That would just be... It might not translate too well, because you can see, like, although what we'll say is wax melts. If you want the actual aroma of what it's promising, don't go for candles, go for wax melts. It's so much more intense. The espresso martini wax melts you can get from Asda, mate, it's like you're in a coffee shop. It's absolutely wonderful. Really, really is. Plus they do a really nice cinnamon. Is it cinnamon swirl? I like those sorts of scents when it comes to candles, like desserty. It's also my favourite Body Shop product, which I don't think they do anymore, which was like a cookie dough shower gel, and it just, with the hot water and the steam, oh, went a bit Jewish then. It just smelled absolutely wonderful. It really, really did. Anyway, also, I know people are too afraid to ask how old I am, and when I tell them how old I am, they're really shocked because I look at least 10 years younger than I actually am. Look after your skin, right? I'm not an attractive person at all. I've got the body of like a 60-year-old alcoholic. Make up for it with my fashion sense. I'll give myself some credit, but just look after your skin. It makes all the difference. And if you want a good facial, if you want good skin on your face, Lush do a coffee face scrub. I mean, it's getting me nowhere in terms of finding a mate. Not in that sense, but in that sense. Like, in terms of... See, I'm a realist. I know exactly what I am. And from an evolutionary standpoint, what the fuck am I getting at right now? I don't know. But, yeah. It's not getting me anywhere. So I'm fucked in an evolutionary sense of reproducing and carrying on the family genes. Because I don't see that happening for a good long time, if ever at all. Can't even get a date with a munter on Tinder. Can't even get a date with munter on Tinder. Can't even get a date with a munter on Tinder. Because I punch way above my weight. It means you're going to wait a hell of a long time, but does tend to pay off on those very rare occasions that you meet someone who's absolutely desperate for any sort of affection. But anyway, I digress. How's that all come about, me wanting an IPA candle? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Wax melts, you actually get the flavour that's promised. Candles, not so much. But anyway, that was my self-deprecative comment for the video. So Adam, if you're watching, cheers. And cheers to everyone else. Going to actually go and drink the beer now, so. Oh. Bliss, absolute bliss. Now, an track sort of get their biggest sort of like buzz from the Gold Top series, and that's mainly down to the body you get in those beers. I don't think this has got lactose in it, but mate, the texture and mouthfeel of this is absolutely sublime. I'm probably not getting anywhere in the dating scene by referring to a beer as sublime. Do you know what I mean? Plus, I've also realised, and I'm very happy to admit it, but I'm a typophile now. And I've always enjoyed typography. But in this past like 6 months, I've become obsessed to the point where, like, company newsletter, I want to know what font they use. The company I work for has gone through a big rebrand. I got so chuffed and excited with myself when I found out what font they'd used, because at the start of their rebrand, they sent like honestly, I think they obviously sent a press release because it's big news, but they also sent one like internally, and it sort of like went through the concept of the brand, not just the brand as a whole of what the company is, but like breaking down like, oh, we've used this colour on this colour background and we've gone for this sort of thing. And then they actually, and I really loved it, and I'm getting excited now. This is how sad I am, but I got really excited when I found out what font they'd used, and I was a little bit annoyed that they didn't install it on the Microsoft Word that we use at work, because I would happily make documents on brand using that same font, because I'm sad like that. But yeah, this beer is sublime. This is really nice. It's definitely got a peachiness to it. You've got a little bit of a zing / sharpness coming from that citra. There's this soft, sweet roundedness. What emotion that is. Soft, sweet roundness. I mean, just look how elegant that movement is. That at the end where my little fingers go up. Ignore that, but Just imagine you've had a stressful day at work. You can't really be arsed doing anything. You just want to sit down. Maybe treat yourself to a bath and a bath bomb. And just imagine me. You've got to have long hair, obviously, for this. Just imagine me just sat behind you. Just doing that. Oh, don't worry. You stay in the bath. You just relax. Sounds like you've had a really bad day. I'll cook us some food, but if you want me to order anything at all in, I'll order you some food in. It's fine. And I've noticed how clumsy that's now becoming, and it's almost looking like I've got the biggest phallus in my face, so I'm going to stop doing that. Gift that if you want to. There is that little bit of a piney, resiny, dank character coming from the Simcoe, but not too much. It just sort of like plays into the bitterness of the beer on the back end. Oh, but it's the mouthfeel on this. It's very specific. Doesn't taste like it, but it's very specific. This is what it's reminding me of. Have you been to Tesco's and you can get like the clementine juice in the plastic? And stop doing this motion. And you can get the plastic bottles of like clementine juice. It's got the texture of like clementine juice. It's absolutely wonderful. I've had some okay IPAs and pales recently. But I'm sort of like falling into that trap of getting a bit bored because they're a bit samey. For some reason, loads of breweries are still releasing too many beers with New Zealand hops. So I've not really been like excited by like pales, IPAs, double IPAs. In fact, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I've not sort of like lost the love for like craft beer and that sort of thing, but I've kind of like, I myself have sort of like plateaued almost, where I've not really drank too much stuff that's interested me. Do you know what I mean? Prior to recording this video, I did a beer snack. And I had this first time in ages, and the first like couple of sips were just pure magic. And that's my favourite beer of all time. So it doesn't mean anything, but in specific reference to me, favourite beer of all time. But this is just as satisfying and yeah, just as satisfying for me. And it's been a while since, especially a hazy pale double IPA has done this to me. I mean, is it my favourite track beer? No. I wish they'd brew Journey to the Sun a hell of a lot more. And I've had some absolutely tip-top IPAs and beers of that style from track. But I'm saying that now. This is just ticking all the boxes for me. This is in a beer landscape that is overly saturated by this sort of style. Not complaining, because it is the most common beer style that I will buy. But recently I've been buying like stuff that I can depend on. Not really exciting. It's not going to blow your head off with its hop intensity or whatever. But I've just been really sort of like cutting down my spends on beer and just getting like some like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Faith. Trying stuff within my budget at supermarkets. But I'm so glad that I picked this one up, because this is... Context is a wonderful thing, by the way. So you're probably watching this. You might have probably watching this. You're watching this. Obviously, that's not a redundant statement, because you'd have to be watching this to hear me say that. You're watching this, you've probably had this and you thought, yeah, it was all right. You might be overplaying it a little bit, Peter. But even with like context aside, with what I've said, I've not really been too excited with like any sort of pale beers. I want more cans of this. It's wonderful. It really, really is. And I'm not someone who subscribed to that philosophy of, oh, if you made like an imperial or blah 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 version of this beer, it'd be absolutely fantastic. There have been moments where I'm like, put that beer in a barrel and, you know, blah 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 blah. And there have been beers where I'm like, oh, could you imagine this if there's like a triple or a double IPA? But I don't necessarily subscribe to that notion, because sometimes it doesn't really work out too well. But this, I think they've got a damn good beer here. They really, really have. And it's track, so of course they've got a damn good beer. But this, to me, it's got the feel of a gold top in terms of, and there's a moth that keeps hitting the light and it's doing my absolute head in. Because I know for a fact, as soon as I'm settled when I'm going to go to bed, I won't have heard from this moth for a few hours, but as soon as I lie down and try to get comfortable and sleep, it's going to start flying in my face. Anyway, another mess of a beer review. I do apologise, especially for my comments at the start. I'm sure in this social landscape, those comments might not go down too well, but it's a joke. And you've got a right to you know, take issue with it. But anyway, yeah, I think this plays part in the reason why nobody really takes me seriously, especially compared to with some of the people who I associate myself with. But do you know what? I don't care, because if the industry doesn't like me, I've got people like Rob from Hop Scene, Adam from Mersey Beers, Craig from Kent Beer Reviews, James from Rampant Lime Reviews, Greg from Bullman's Beer Reviews, Harry from Blue Nose Beer Reviews, Jake from Jaco Beer, Brett from Beardy Beer Reviews. Who else is there? There's a few of the Americans, the Canadians. We've got Thomas Opent, Poundland Jesus. So, do you know what? I was going to like go on a jokey tirade about, if people don't like me, then they can fuck off. But I'm not like this in person. I'm actually a really quiet and shy, reserved individual who wouldn't say boo to a goose. And that's the thing. Which sick person was going around saying boo to a goose? Or boo to geese? Store handle spins all the way around and it doesn't stop. Have you watched a reversible? Anyway, yeah, this is absolutely wonderful. I'm not going to say it's a breath of fresh air, because everyone's brewing these beers, let's be honest. But you're going to be hard pressed. And this can be said for a lot of breweries in the UK. I know I do go on about how much I love Track, and I think they are pound for pound one of the best breweries in the UK. But this just cements the fact that Track do these beers really, really well. In fact, they do any style. Those like birthday and barrel-aged imperial stouts, fantastic. Lagers, doing really well on those. I've had a few sours. Their triple fruited goza, they're like one of the blackcurrant and raspberry, was just amazing. But yeah, this is like Track's bread and butter, isn't it, really? Like most breweries in the UK, and they do it so well. They really, really do. It sounds like that mouth's dead close, and it's making me proper para. Anyway, better not touch me homemade sausage rolls, which I will absolutely devour after this beer review's finished. Yeah, apologies for how long this video's gone on for. Can someone scan that QR code? See what happens. Yeah. It's just a really damn good beer, and I will actually say it's probably, and this is compared to a lot of really good beers that they've released, this is actually up there with one of the best beers from Track that I've had all year. But as I said, very long list of probably equally, and probably at the time of drinking those beers, better beers that I've had. But it's just, this is what I love about double IPAs, triple IPA. Oh god, that was very unflattering angle, wasn't it? My tits were resting on my stomach then. Yeah, this they'll probably will have brewed like limited, like one-offs, collaborations, or overly hyped beers before they brewed this, and they will probably, even though we are approaching September, they will probably brew beers that will, you know, get a first class ticket on the hype train. But this just, it takes a core recipe of a really fantastic pale ale, which is like almost like the hoppier sort of like more vibrant equivalent to Sonoma, which for me, I'm well and truly putting my hat on the James Bond hat stand by saying this. If I ever did that, I'd just fucking miss. I'd hit Moneypenny with me hat, and then it'd be awkward because, oh shit, I forgot I've got Odd Jobs hat, and then she'd be decapitated. So, did he actually ever sleep with Moneypenny? Like, is that explicitly established in the literature, or was it just like implied, or was it just like harmless workplace flirting? Yeah, throw me hat on the, I don't know what the actual proper terminology is. I've only had a lager prior to this. Why am I behaving like this? I don't know. And the moth's going off again, doing my fucking head in. I would say Sonoma is arguably the best core range pale ale available at the moment. But then again, you've got the likes of Northern Monk's Faith. I'll probably have to do a core range series comparing core range beers. I mean, you could put Steady Rolling Man in there. Cloudwater, I don't know, do they have a core pale ale now? Because the last time we had a Cloudwater just like pale ale in that like continuous improvement sort of thing. Which is great. I like breweries when they do that. Keep sort of like trying to evolve the base recipe. But I would say Sonoma is for me one of the most satisfying. You could put metric in there from Marble, because that's a fantastic beer as well. Got a couple of cans of that. Went to Booths earlier because I'm flush. No, it's just they've got a really good beer selection in Booths. And it was, even though as someone who works in retail, I did feel a little bit scummy because Booths was open till 10 o'clock on a bank holiday Monday. But you know what? Bank holidays are fucking boring anyway, so if I'm going to make money out of it, I mean, I did work, actually, today. But I get like a day's holiday, so even though good luck trying to actually get a holiday successfully put through. But that's another story. And could actually be a sackable comment, but hey ho, it is what it is. And my arm just clicked like I'm 50 years old. Nobody's watching this video at this point. They've probably watched, like most of my reviews, 30 seconds and thought, what the fuck is that blob talking about? The one who looks a bit like Boris Johnson. Looks a bit like Jimmy Savile, especially when he had my hair longer. Ed Sheeran. People have like said, oh, you look like Ed Sheeran. In what fucking universe is that? I take more offence at people saying I look like Ed Sheeran than I do with that absolute buffoon Boris Johnson. I think I look a bit more like Boris Becker, but debatable. Anyway, you can't buy this content. Do you know what I mean? I should be getting paid for this because this is just golden content. A man in his 30s sat on his bedroom floor, which is the size of a bedroom in a bedsit, by the way, living back in his family house. And I don't mean like family house in that sort of like gentrified, prestigious sort of way. No, it's, I can't afford to get a flat because you have to have 2 incomes or have an actually really well paid job. I'm sat on the floor shooting a beer review. Now, if anybody's watching this and is currently going through like a existential crisis, welcome to my world. It is fun though, and like I said, I'm 33 years old, but I look like I'm 24 at the most. And even though I'm not really showing it today, I've got, although that being said, these are from Uniqlo. As if that means fuck all. And I've got a beer related t-shirt on, but it is what it is. I've just got style. See, I'm doing the off-camera stuff in this direction because with this camera angle, you can clearly see that there's a wall there, so it doesn't really work, does it? Should I just end the video? They're grown adults, so they'll know to like click the links down below. And I was going to get up, but it was very awkward because you'd see my crotch. But anyway, should I just end the video? Yeah, links in the description, blah, 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 blah. If they've tried it, they can let me know their thoughts and opinions. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rest this pen on this surface here. I'm going to put my nose in it. I'm going to slam my head down.